Hey, what's up? Big Earl, Northtownsound. Video number 3 of the Golly I Hate Stratum Hooies videos. Got the wiring done, got the tuners done, ready to string this up, set it up. It's gonna get these things. Verdict's still out on these things, but I like the Darios, so I'm willing to try these this new stuff that they got. It's all good. So, I'm going to show you a few tricks that I've learned over the years on how to string and how to set up axes, and a couple of rants. Got to collect my thoughts here. Let's start with a rant here, okay? Okay, so the rant, it goes like this. This is a guitar that was built to a price point. This is not a guitar that was built to a quality level. This was built so it could get on the market at a specific price point and sell. The chances are that I am going to be able to set this up so it'll play, but not necessarily play as well as a guitar that was designed to be set up to a quality point, as opposed to a price point. That's not just because this is a cheap guitar. If you look at the major manufacturers, they cut corners as well when they're building guitars in order to get them out the door at a price point that pickers can afford. I've worked on, the originals of this shape where the neck angles are pooch. They're way too flat. You can never get them to play right. I have a buddy who had a Telemahui, and it was a 70s one. I don't know what they were thinking. It had like the bullet rod on it, right, where you could adjust it up here instead of that stupid ass idea. But it was really high. It was right up against the fretboard, and the neck was cacked. It was all warped. So you couldn't actually straighten the neck because the truss rod was too high in the neck. I had to heat press it to try to flat it out. And then he moved to another town, took it to a tech to get it set up. And when Buddy was actually trying to straighten the neck out again, he physically popped the fretboard off by adjusting the truss rod. And it's not like he was cranking on it, okay? Stuff's built to a price point sometimes, and that is what destroys your setup quality, okay? Guitars that are built to be adjusted, that are built to last, that are built to be decent, will set up right. My Godins will set up perfectly. They're not expensive guitars, but the necks are built right. The neck socket's built right. The bridges are done right. Everything's fine on them, and they'll play great. This thing, I can get it playable. I might not get it perfect. That's my rant. And it doesn't matter what the name is on the peg head. Biggest thing that people learn over time, the name on the peg head means crap after a point. You'll play enough bits of firewood that have like major names on them. Now you'll learn. You'll learn. Just hopefully it doesn't cost you much. Okay, let's do a quick inspection about other things on this. Okay, this is kind of funny. I don't know if this thing will get this. So this thing, when it was strung, it was obviously strung through the back the way it should. There's actually little tiny notches on the E and the A strings. I can feel them. So the strings just bearing into them have actually notched the cheap steel that this is made out of, which is pretty funny. So I'm going to have to file those back so I don't pop strings. Sometimes with guitars, the quality of your steel sucks. I have this guitar. This is a Talent, which is sort of like the absolute bottom feeder of what the Kalamazoo Nashville Mafia build. And the original wraparound bridge, these studs, physically snapped on me when I was changing strings on this thing once. So there's a repro bridge that's on here, repro studs, which I find hilarious. How the hell do you snap a stud? So that's the way it goes. So I'm going to have to file that guy down a bit here. So this bridge, those saddles don't look quite in the right place. So I think I'm going to have to rough them in a little bit better. People will say, oh yeah, look at another guitar, you know, go measure something. Here's a cool trick that works. When you're buying parts, get yourself one of these. A lot of glare here now. This is a compensated stop tail piece where you've got intonation markings that are usually really close. So you just sort of sandwich the two and compare them. I know it's kind of hard to show here with one hand, but you just balance it like that, rough in your intonation. I have the two outside strings on, so now I have to adjust the height. The height on a 24 3/4 scale guitar should be just past a 1/16 of an inch. It's 5/64 technically. You can use fancy rulers to measure that. I used to have a set of measuring steels to do that I had made up, which I lost when I moved, of course. But the old way was coins, and they still work. So basically, a 1/16 of an inch is 0.064. 2 Canadian dimes is 0.067, 0.0675 technically. So 2 dimes is really darn close. Plus or minus, because again, this is a guitar that's built to a price point. It's not built to a quality point. So we may have to jack up the action regardless. Now this is going to be hard to illustrate one-handed, but I'm going to try. Common question people have. How much string do I use up here? What do I use for wrapping? And you'll hear, well, go one post past whatever you're measuring. Some will say do 2. Some people will give 1 inch. It's an old trick I learned years ago. It works pretty darn good. It takes a little bit of practice and a little bit of personal preference. What you want to do, get the string put on and go to the 12th fret and just use your fingers to figure out how much you're going to need. Now I know from personal practice and having strung hundreds, thousands of guitars, this is a guitar that I want the action a little bit, or the playability a little slinky. I want to be able to do bends and stuff on it. So I want the string tension off a bit. So what I need is a little extra string. So what I'm going to go with here is I'm going to go with 4 fingers, and it just resting, it won't show right, but just resting on my thumbnail. Not up on my thumb knuckle, however that would be, like that, but just on my thumbnail there, okay? And that's going to give me, with this sort of gauge of strings, that's going to give me some slinkiness, okay? If I wanted it tighter, I'd probably just go 4 fingers. I wouldn't bother with the thumb. If I wanted to go crazy for bending, I'd probably bring up the arch of the thumb, do something like that, and get more windings up here, and more string tension here. But this one, just want to bend it a bit, so I'm just going to take it sort of like that, sort of where that clip of my nail is there. Okay, strings are on. And that comes something else nobody does right and nobody shows right. It's time to stretch strings. I've seen videos where, like, you know, people put a little piece of paper in here and go like this, you know, to stretch it and stuff like that. You need to go aggro on this, okay? It's a steel. It can withstand it, okay? I'm going to see if I can set this up so I can show you. Okay, can't really figure out a way, so I'm just going to show you. What I'm going to do, got the string like this. You want to hold down here and really pull on that thing, okay? You want to, that's what I'm talking about, like some serious reefing on it. If you got good strings, and like these are D'Addarios, they're not expensive strings, you can do that. I'm going to do that up and down the neck on every single string, tugging it at both the nut and the tuners and everywhere. and I'm going to bend the living crap out of these things. Why am I going to do that? The more you bend them, the less likely they're going to move further along. So I'm going to go kill my hands for a couple of minutes here. Okay, so I've bent the living snot out of these things, and they're more or less staying in tune. So where's Mr. D? He's pretty close. Here's a neat trick. Actually, I hate to say this, I got this from some video I was watching of the guitar techs from Rush. It really works. Take a piece of cloth. This is like an old work shirt. Something you're not going to put any cleaners or anything on. You just gotta put it onto a string, just like that. I'm pulling up very slightly as I'm going back and forth on this thing. And what it's doing, it's heating up the string a bit. And it helps to continue stretching it. It is amazing how much better a guitar will hold tune when you do that. Killer little trick. So now I gotta go and do that on everything. Okay, so the strings are stretched, they're heated up, action's roughed in. I'm gonna check the neck relief. So cable at the 1st fret. I'm gonna mash down on the 17th fret. And I'm gonna go for 12th thou, if that even shows up, around 9th or 7th fret. This feeler gauge I picked up for like $2 somewhere. They're not very expensive. If you don't have one of these, a Canadian business card is exactly 0.012, which is amazing. They get bent though, so I'm going to try this. Can't do this one-handed though. You can tell I'm not holding it down there, but actually just from sighting it, it's really darn close. So I'm probably just going to leave it here. Okay, just check the intonation. It's roughed in. It's pretty close. So all I'm going to do now, I think I'm just going to raise these pickups up a bit. And then I always leave these guitars to sit at least overnight because they're going to move around. This neck was not under tension for almost 2 weeks. And this, again, being a guitar built to a price point as opposed to a quality level, that thing's bound to move overnight, so I'm probably going to have to tweak this off in the morning. So I'm just going to raise these up, let it sit, and then tomorrow I'll get you folks a demo. We'll see how the Crazy Mad experiment worked. Okay, cool. Big Earl, Northtown Sound. Later.